Mount Lemmon Ski Resort in Arizona has an elevation of 9,159 feet, a vertical drop of 907 feet, 80 skiable acres, and on average, I don't know how much snow they get, I just know it's not a lot, but we did show up for 8 inches of a POW day at Mount Lemmon in Tucson, Arizona. This is the most southern ski resort in the United States, so for us to show up on a powder day was absolutely special. Now this is the video series where we go to a brand new ski resort, we absolutely rip it, we shred it, we see what it has to offer, and then we come back here and I give the resort a score from 0 to 100. Now the reason why we give the resort a score is because I want to know who this resort is for, so we also give that as well. Now the way we're going to get that score from 0 to 100 is we're going to go over 10 categories. Now each category is going to give a score from 0 to 10. Now 0 is not applicable, meaning the resort doesn't have it at all. 1 is terrible, 5 is average, and 10 is best in the world, like literally best in the world. And that's just how we rate these resorts. I don't care where the resort is. This is how we handle resort reviews. Now the first category, lift prices. How expensive is it to ride at Mount Lemmon? Well, at $73 for the day. I think that's pretty fair. I mean, it's a pretty small ski resort, but it's in a very special area. It's kind of like a unique thing, so like a more expensive lift price makes sense because it's so out there. So I give them a 5 for the lift price. I think it's super fair for what you're getting. I mean, this is a resort in Tucson, so they have to deal with a lot just to have this thing running. So $73, super fair. Now lodging, ski in, ski out. Sadly, they didn't have any lodging. And then on their website, they didn't have anything for lodging. I do believe there is a lodge up at the top of Mount Lemmon, but I don't think it's owned by the ski resort. So I gave them a 0 for lodging, but if you could stay up there, I would do it. I'll explain that in a little bit. But yeah, lodging, a 0. Now, ease of access. How easy is it to get to Mount Lemmon? Well, this is why I said I would stay up there if you can, because it snowed about 6 to 8 inches while we were there, and they shut the highway down. We couldn't get up the mountain. It was only open to locals and employees that worked up there. It was super frustrating because, like, as someone that lives in the mountain, it was normal mountain driving, but because of the uniqueness of that pass and the resort, they didn't want Tucson locals with non-4-wheel drive cars that don't get snow to be running up, driving off the road, hitting ice, all that type of stuff. So that was frustrating. It is only an hour and 30 minutes from the Tucson airport. Really, you just have this crazy, beautiful, windy road that eventually gets you up to the ski resort. It's only that long of a drive because of how windy the road is, and man, it's such a gorgeous drive, and it's not that gnarly of a drive, but it is switchbacky. You do get sections where ice can like hang out and not get a lot of sun, so like it won't melt right away. So I could see you struggling if you're not used to like windy mountain roads, but overall, like, I give them a 1 for ease of access because the highway shutting down and them only letting locals or employees up was one of the hard, like, we literally sat in the car for like 5 to 6 hours just waiting, like hoping, and then they only opened it up for people with 4-wheel drive vehicles, so we were able to get up there, thankfully, because once again, it was a rad powder day. But man, like, to have a ski resort that you can't get to if it snows because they're gonna shut the highway down, and that's what everyone told me. They're like, oh, good luck getting there, you're not gonna make it, it snowed, you're not gonna get up there. And I was like, come on. We specifically came on this trip to get up there on a POW day. We wanted to ride it with great conditions, and so we almost didn't get it. I was terrified, but we did. 1. That was a lot, but that road was frustrating. Now, if you're wondering why we came to Mount Lemmon, is we have this crazy goal to ride every single ski resort in the United States. And once again, this being the lowest southern ski resort in the United States, like, this is why I love doing that. It's super rad. And you guys can check out our progress of riding every ski resort in the United States by checking out resortskimaps.com. Now, this is the resort map of every resort in the United States. But all the green snowboarders are the resorts that we have been to. You can click on the little green guys to watch our videos at that resort. If the snowboarder is red, that means we haven't been there yet, but it doesn't mean we are not coming. You can check the top right-hand corner for our travel schedule for the upcoming season. See if we're coming your way, then you guys can take off of work and come shred with us, which is super awesome. Once again, we have this goal to ride every resort in the United States, and you can just track that progress there. But also, I use Resort Ski Maps to plan all of my ski and snowboard trips. It's literally one of the most handy tools for skiing and snowboarding. Once again, that's resortskimaps.com, linked in the description. Now, lifts. We got to get up the mountain, and for chairlifts, they have 2 of them and 1 surface lift. When I was there, they were only running the 2 chairlifts, and they do take a little bit. They're very slow chairlifts, and then when you're getting on bottom, they're pretty low to the snow. I mean, that could have been the day we were there, so lower your high backs if you're a snowboarder. But the lifts definitely, it took a minute. Like, you're riding a lift more than you're riding a run, I can promise you that. But the one thing about their chairlifts that I did like is they took care of them. They were painted nicely, the seats had cover. It looked like they were taking care of their chairlifts, which at a small ski resort like this, and that doesn't open every single year because some years they don't get enough snow to even open. That was really cool to see that they still like took care of what they had, and like that chairlift didn't look like it was gonna die and then the resort's gonna close because they don't have parts. Like, they were taking care of it, which was really nice. So when it came to lifts, I gave them a 3 for the lifts. You're definitely gonna get where you need to be to ride this resort. And on that note, runs. How were their runs? And man, they were shockingly awesome. It's a really steep resort actually, so you can take like a mellow cat track or mellow runs down, but for the majority of it, it's a nice steep pitch that just kind of like, dude, we were flying, man, getting the POW. And like, I was nice to show up at a resort that could handle the powder in Arizona, because the last one couldn't handle as much snow as they got. This one, we were ripping the trees, which were nice and spaced open, like really nice tree riding. It is short-lived with only being 907 vertical drop, but it was enough. I liked it. But they also only have 17 runs. So when it came to runs, I gave them a 4 for runs. What they have is good. They just don't have a lot of it. Now the park, a resort like this, I do think could benefit from having at least a couple features. They have none, and maybe a jump. You know, like, they put a little bit of park into there. They might get more locals from Tucson coming up, almost like that skateboard style kid that wants to get good at the park features, things like that. But they didn't have any park features, so they get a 0 for the terrain park. Now, if you're enjoying this video and you want to support the dream, consider snagging one of my Evolution stickers. We do have a ski version for all the skiers out there, as well as hats, the shirts, any of our merchandise, guys. We have it all in skier as well. Skier. It's all linked down below. It does support the dream and it allows us to travel and do all this stuff. So thank you so much to everyone that does snag the merch so we can go ride every single resort in the United States. Now, food. They do have 2 options for you to eat. They have a restaurant up at the top, which has a crazy menu of all the types of food that you're gonna want to eat. Seems like it's a little nicer than your typical resort food. And then they have this fudge hut on the top, which is like the cutest little fudge hut with like the nicest lady in there. I don't know if she's in there all the time, but there's like candies and snacks, and like I think you can get like little burgers or hot dogs in there too.
There's fudge in here?
There's fudge in
Oh my goodness.
Oh. And hot cocoa and hot coffee.
I wasn't ready. All right, thank you.
So you have 2 options to get food on the resort. And so for that, I gave them a 6 for the food. The fudge was cool because you're in that area where it makes sense. It's very touristy, and like it worked. Not every ski resort has a fudge shop at the top of their, like, on their mountain. Now, views and scenery. If you count the drive, my gosh, this is a absolutely gorgeous resort. I mean, even standing up top, looking over Tucson, which isn't like the gnarliest, prettiest city, but like still standing up top, it was gorgeous. The drive up was, oh my gosh, absolutely gorgeous. The craziest rock formations you could ever see. Super unique. It is a 360 view as well, which definitely gives a little extra bonus points. So when it came to views and scenery, despite being a super tiny resort, I gave them a 9 for views and scenery. It is in such a rad location. You don't get this often. This is like a unique views and scenery style. It's so cool. Now, employees. We cover employees because an employee can actually make or break your day on the mountain. You can get an employee that just gives you the wrong boots, the wrong board size, the wrong ski size, and they just rush you out because they don't care. Or you get an employee that takes their time, make sure that the gear that you get is perfect for you. I know personally I had an experience with an employee that would ruin anybody's vacation, and you can check that video out right there. So that's why we cover employees. And for Mount Lemmon, their employees were pretty rad. Everyone was super friendly, always asking like, do you need rental? Do you need rental? I'm like, I got my own gear, don't worry guys. But then we ran into Marco on the mountain, and he was just stoking. This was probably the best snow day of his life, and he was like, we could do this and this, and he was like wanted to show us everything at the mountain. He was just so stoked to be on his mountain and talked about how much he loved his mountain, showing us the drops and the hits, and he was just like, that's rad. And then we ran into some locals that also showed us around. The vibe there was rad. So when it came to employees, I gave them a 7 for employees. They were all super nice people. And the fudge lady, she was rad too. Now the last category, the would I go back factor, because if I wouldn't go back to a ski resort, why would I recommend it to you guys? And for this resort, Mount Lemmon in Tucson, Arizona, I would absolutely go back. I gave them a 10 on the would I go back factor because I love unique resorts and the fact that like this resort doesn't have to be there, but it is there. And if they get the snow, they do open and you can go and learn how to snowboard all the way in basically Mexico, which is wild. So I would absolutely go back. If I were in Tucson, like I'm a snowboarder, I'm going snowboarding at Mount Lemmon because it's rad. And obviously I know we got it on like literally probably one of the best days in a decade to go ride Mount Lemmon. I'm sure it's usually a little icier, a little firmer, things like that, but it was rad. I'd still go back. Now before I tell you the score from 0 to 100, consider checking out the resort review playlist right here so you can see if we reviewed your ski resort or any other resorts that you're interested in going to. So check out the resort review playlist right there, or once again, go back to resortskimaps.com. You can categorize the scores literally on the website and see what's a 80, a 70, a 60 level resort, because that's where I want to ride. Now Mount Lemmon, on a score from 0 to 100, what did it get? It got a subscribe. A 45, which is 5 points below an average ski resort. So these ones are always special and unique because like obviously it's not like an average ski resort. It's definitely special and unique in its own way, and the employees bumped up the score and all that type of stuff. So it's still an incredible resort. And a 45, Mount Lemmon, you deserve it. We had a blast there. But who is this resort for? Obviously it's for like the Tucson locals, the people that are learning to ski and snowboard, even though they don't have an incredible amount of beginner terrain. But if you're a Tucson local and you're like an average rider, this resort is rad as well. Just hopefully they got the snow for you. But with that, Team Buckhouse, thank you so much for shredding with me today. And as always, thanks for watching. Keep evolving. We'll see you tomorrow in another video. It is daily on this channel. We do stuff like this daily.